Start. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat petang. Very good evening to all. So basically, today we'll be talking about credit management on the loan structuring. So, but basically, before we start the class, okay, maybe we'll start with the recitation of Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Alright, and then okay, for your personal financing assignment, so basically you need to actually to look at the individual backgrounds such as age, marital status, number of children, income, education, employment, salary, and then financing commitment, current loan facility with any financial institution, whether personal financing, education financing, home financing, car financing, unit trust financing, etc. So you need to know how much is the loan and how long is the tenure. So how long is the remaining loan? Alright, so this is your assignment. So basically, the personal information is actually there is the husband and wife. So the husband is working 15,000 in multi-super corridor, and then the wife is actually working as a government officer. The total income is 15,000, and then they are married. Okay, wife is working with MSC companies with current income of 12,000. All right, and then you have 12,000. Then you have they have children. So altogether, right, the total income is 27,000. Okay, and then they have children, 2 boys and 2 girls, 3 at private university, and the last one at the secondary school. Education is master in law. Okay, employment has been working with the current employer for the past 15 years, Malaysia Airlines. All right. And then they have home loan with Maybank Islamic, loan amount 500,000, tenure 25 years with 10 years remaining, and then monthly prepayment is 2,500, joint applicant with 5. Okay, now you need to do, okay, the background checking, the financing commitment, and then you need to know how much is the loan and how long is the loan. Basically, this is basically what we actually as bankers we need to know. Okay, what will be the financing commitment that the customer have, okay, on hand, in hand, and then what will be the debt service ratio. Okay, the debt service ratio is basically the maximum loan installment amount that they can afford. Okay, basically the debt service ratio is stating that this is the maximum installment amount plus all commitment. All right, for that particular individual. The debt service ratio for different banks are different. Some have 60%, some have 70%, some so it depends on which bank that you are referring to. So you will have to do some research, do some search. Okay, what will be the debt service ratio for Maybank, for example? What will be the debt service ratio for Bank Islam, and so on. All right, now let's continue on to our lecture. So basically, the objective of credit facility structuring. Okay, basically it is unique. You need to look at the changes, the relevant risk, and also the control. Now, what is actually loan structuring? Okay, basically it's just simple. You want to structure that the loans are available for and affordable, right, for the customers. So sometimes we need to do some restructuring, but before we do the restructuring, we have to structure the loan first. Right, the process of credit facilities structuring, basically we need to understand what would be the borrower's need. Okay, okay, for example, if he wants to buy a house, then his need is a house, then his need is actually a home financing facility. And if he wanted to buy a car, then he will be actually needing I would call it auto vehicle financing. So we need to understand what would be the borrower's need. Then we have to match, okay, the borrower's need and the bank's product or services, because we don't want to provide different facilities to their different needs. Okay, so we need to match it properly. So if he wants to buy a house, then home financing will be the most suitable product. Then we look at the negotiation of terms, conditions, and also the collateral that the customer can provide. So this is the thing, that the process of the credit facility structuring. But it starts okay with the borrower's needs. Okay, so they might be needing different things, but they might be saying differently, right? And then we also look at the business funding requirement. All right, so this is individual, then this is for business funding. So some need cash, okay, some need to purchase goods and creation of account payable, right? So they purchase goods and then they want to sell the goods on credit. So or maybe they want to purchase goods on credit, then they have to have facilities. And sale of goods and creation of account receivable, this is selling the goods and then giving their customers credit terms, and then also looking at the collection of the account receivable. So this is the business funding requirement. And also if we look at the more detailed part of this business funding requirement, so we have also cash, purchase of raw material and creation of account payable, value added, and work in progress. This is also need to be fund, okay, because they are still yet need to be sold, and if they are not being sold, then basically there are some financing needed to support, right, their process. And then more value added and finished good completed. Okay, this is actually when the product has been produced but haven't been sold yet. Okay, haven't been sold yet. So basically these goods are actually all cash, all right, they're all money, right? So basically for the company to operate and to manage its cash flow, so basically they need to finance this. And then sales and creation of account receivable. So whenever you sell, okay, your product, so you actually don't receive the money yet, and then only you can collect the the debts from your debtors. Okay. Another way of depicting the operating cycle, so we call it, this is also as operating cycle, is basically looking at how we purchase the raw materials. Is it using cash or using credit term? Then we look at the raw material process, the finished good process completed, finished goods sold, and then the cash collected. Now basically we have financing gap, or which is the net working capital. For example here, so we pay, okay, our raw material here, right? Then firstly maybe we owe our creditors here, then we have to pay. But during this period, so we are actually out of money, so we don't have any money, so until the cash is being collected. So this is what we call it, the net working capital, okay, what we call it, the fund that we need to raise for us to actually to operate. So if excess long-term fund exists, then the amount of short-term borrowing needed but the borrow will be equal to the net working capital minus excess long-term fund. But if no excess long-term fund exists, then the amount of short borrowings needed by the borrower will be equal to the net working capital. So basically it depends on whether you have long-term fund. If you don't have long-term fund, right, then this is the amount that we needed for our borrowing. Okay. All right. Now the net working capital. Okay, the formula for net working capital is actually looking at the stocks. Okay, you plus with trade debtors, right, minus with trade creditors. So this is the net working capital. Basically, you look at the current asset, then you minus with your current liabilities. Okay, current asset minus current liabilities, then you can get the net working capital. All right. Okay, so here is an abstract of the balance sheet. Okay, the balance sheet. So we have this the fixed assets and the current assets. So, and this is the net worth and long-term liabilities. This is net worth and long-term liabilities, and then this is spontaneous financing, account payable, and other current liabilities. So basically, this is what I've mentioned before. If you have long-term liabilities, you have long-term, what you call it, liabilities, then you don't have to actually use, what you call it, your short-term borrowing. All right. So and looking at this, okay, we also have what you call it, the other current asset and other current liabilities here. So here is that we want to actually finance, okay, the short-term borrowings here. Okay, number 3. So this is the part that we want to get finance from the banks. Okay, or basically the bank will finance these short-term borrowings, so that these stocks and account receivable, or the, what you call it, the process here, okay, is in order, right? So if you don't have money, so basically the company will have problems in in ensuring that, okay, their operation is can be sustained, right? So basically they need to acquire from, okay, the short-term borrowings here, because these gaps, okay, need to be financed. Okay, this gap need to be financed, because you don't have money here, because you already paid, okay, your supplier here, right? You buy on credit, but at this particular time, then you have to pay your creditors. So while you get your money back, right, so you don't have any money there. Okay, so that's why we need to finance. Okay, the company need to finance this. All right. The calculation of the net working capital requirement. So basically, we look at the projected stocks or average holding stock holding period in months. You multiply with the stock cost, okay, as a percentage of sales, then multiply with average monthly sales. Right, and then you have to plus with the projected debtors. Okay, which is the average debtors turnover. Okay, average debtors turnover in months. Then you multiply with 100% minus cash profit margin, multiply with monthly sales. Okay, so this is your projected debtors. Okay, and then you also minus with the average creditors. So average creditors is average creditors turnover, ACP, okay, but you change it in months. You multiply with the purchase cost, okay, as percentage of sales, then you multiply with the average monthly sales. So basically, you are taking average monthly sales with the percentage of cost of sales. So basically, this is what we call it the projected, what we call it, net working capital requirement in the future, right? So it's all projected. You don't want to look at your history, which is your balance sheet, right? So you look at the projected net working capital requirement in the future. Okay, example 1. Okay, a trading concern. Okay, assumptions are your monthly projected sales is 100,000. So you are selling about 100,000 on what you call it, on monthly basis. The stock turnover is 3 months, the debtors turnover is 2 months, and the creditors turnover is about 2 months. So this is about 100 and sorry, this is 90 days, this is 60 days, and this is also 60 days. All right. And then goods for resale as a percentage of cost, a percentage of sales is actually 70%. Then total cash cost as a percentage of sales is 95%. So how do you want to get the net working capital? So basically the computation, for example 1, so 3 months stocks, okay, you take 3 months multiply with 70%, okay, 70% you get from here, okay, good for resale as a percentage of sales, so 70%, right, times with 100,000, which is the sales, the projected sales, so you get 210,000. And then for your debtors, okay, projected debtors, basically you look at the 2 months, right, 2 months here. Then you multiply with 95%, which is derived from here, total cash cost as a percentage of sales, okay. Then you multiply with 100,000, you get 190,000. And then you have to minus, okay, with the 2 months of creditors, which is 2 months multiply with 70%, which is the same as this, all right, 2 months, okay, multiply with 100,000, so this 140,000. So 210 plus 190 is 400,000 minus with 140, which is 260,000. This is a net working capital requirement for the company. All right. So you know that every month you'll be needing about 260,000, okay, a month, to make sure that the operation of the company is sustainable, is can be progressive, okay, because without this 260,000, then you will be having problems, okay, having problems of cash flow, right? So basically this 260,000 need to be financed. So as a bank, you will actually finance the company 260,000 a month for 1 year, right? So 260,000 is your facilities, okay. It might become as overdraft, it might become as letter of credit, or might become as murabaha, PO, and so on, okay. All right. You can give them as a blanket amount 260,000, so they can as revolving, okay, revolving working capital. And to be safe, probably you need to give more than 260,000, probably plus with 10%, we call it plus minus figures. All right. Now let's look at the example, another example of manufacturing company. I'll just check on the 13. Okay. Salam. All right. So basically, the company need 260,000 a month. Okay, the company need working capital 260K a month. All right. Now let's look at the another example. Which is a manufacturing company. Okay, assumption here is that, let's say the projected monthly sales is the same, 100,000. The raw material cost is 40% of sales. Okay, type A is 40%, 3 months stock holding. Type B 60%, 2 months stock holding. So basically you have two types here. One is type A, the other one is type B. Right, so type A is 3 months, type 2 is 2 months. Okay, and then the work in progress, which is the unfinished, okay, unfinished goods, but still in progress, is 50% of sales. So 0.5 month production period. So it's actually about 15 days. Finished goods is actually 60% of sales and 1 month stock holding, right? And then you have debtors. Debtors, okay, this is your stocks, this is your debtors. Debtors is 85% of sales. So basically 85% of your sales are credit sales, okay, and only 15% are cash sales. And then export, okay, from this 85%, export 30%, no credit term. All right, and then 70%, 2 months credit term. Okay, sorry, from this 85%, okay, 85% of sales, your debtors is 85% of sale. All right, so basically export is 30%, no credit terms. All right, and then 70% is actually 2 month credit terms. This is local and export. Okay, and then for creditors is, which is 40% of sales. Okay, group 1 40%, no credit term. Okay, supply raw material A. And then group 2 60%, 2 months credit term. Okay, and then supply raw material B. This is raw material B. So you have this assumption here. So what would be the net working capital if we have this case? All right, so let's see. So for raw materials A and B, right, so 3 months times 40% times 40% times 100. So we get this 40% and 40%. Okay, this is 40%, right, and then another is 40% here. Okay, so group 1, okay, there is no credit term, supply raw material A. Okay, so basically you don't have credit term here. All right, the other one is 2 months, okay, times 60%, this is 60%, and then times another 40% times with 100,000. So this is 60%, right, this is 60%, and also 40% from here. So group 1. Okay, oops, it should be 60%, right, should be 60%. Okay, so this is should be 48, sorry, hold on. This should be 72,000. Okay, the work in progress is 0.5 month times 50% times 100. So 0.5, okay, times 0.5 month times 50%, okay, times 100,000. Okay, so you get 25,000. And then finished good is 1 month times 60%. Okay, 1 month, okay, this is 1 month times 60% times 100,000. So you get 60,000. So total stock holding cost is, okay, we have to change this also. Okay, 48,000 plus 72,000 plus 25,000 plus 60,000. So 205,000. Okay, 205,000. Total stock holding cost. Alright, then for export, okay, export 0 months, okay, export and local. This is for stocks, okay, this is for stocks. This is for your debtors. Okay, for your debtors, 0 months, okay, export here. Okay, no credit terms, okay, multiply with 30. Multiply with 30. Sorry. Yeah, multiply with 30 times with 85%, 85%, which is this one. Okay, then you multiply with 100,000, you get 0. For local, 2 months times 70 times 85 times this is 119, so you get 119,000. This is for your debtors. Okay, and then for your creditors, 0 months, okay, times with 40%, okay, times with 40%, okay, times with 40%, then times with 40%, then times with 100,000. Okay, so you get 0 here, and then this is 2 months, you get 48,000, so total is 48,000. Now I want to check back again this one. Is this correct? Okay, 2 months times for raw material B. 2 months time, okay, times 60%, correct? Okay, this one, then times 40%. So sorry, it's correct. This should be 40%, right? So you get 48,000 here. 48,000. Then this should be the correct answer just now, right? 181,000. Okay, sorry. Okay, my bad. Okay, my bad. Right, 181,000. Okay, so your total, okay, net working capital requirement. So basically this one, okay, your stocks 181,000 plus with your debtors 119,000 minus with your creditors, which is 48,000. Okay, 48,000. So your total net working capital is 252,000. So this is the financing requirement needed by the company. Looking at the assumption just now, so you still have export, then you have credit sale, you have no credit sales, and so on. So this is the amount that needed to be financed by the bank. All right, so any questions? Okay, full screen ya. Okay, insyaAllah. Any questions? Okay, saya nak tanya sikit sebab alang-alang ni. Saya nak tanya, Antara tiga-tiga cover buku ni, mana satu yang menarik? Okey. Saya nak tunjuk. Okey, yang ni. Okey, A, ini A warna biru. Yang ni B warna putih. Ini C warna merah. Mana satu yang okey? So, boleh tak bagi saya cadangan A, B atau C? Macam mana nak masukkan gambar kat sini? Tak boleh emoji, bukan emoji. Okey, tak boleh kat sini. Comments. Okey, yang ni A biru, yang ni B putih, yang ni C merah. Halo. Okey, sekejap. Okey, A, B dan C. Okey, saya nak tengok sekarang ni ada berapa A berapa C Okey, ni biru, A biru. Okey, merah lawa C 2. Okey, mana lagi? Okey, 2 biru, 2 merah. Mana komen lagi? Tak ada. Biru dengan putih. Aduh, lagi pening saya biru dengan putih. Okey, so biru A, biru dengan biru. Okey. Mana lagi? Okey, so macam mana tengok komen ni? Hilang pula dah. Komen yang lain-lain semua dah tak ada. Ke macam mana? Biru. Okey, haha. Biru. Okey, biru Biru macam ni Ini okey Biru, pengurusan harta dan keusahawanan Islam. Ini putih. Yang ni merah. Merah pun macam gila. Macam menarik juga. Tapi kalau Amal minta biru, saya ambil biru lah nanti. Belum tengah apa ni. Okey, sekejap So biru ke? So biru Okay, biru please. Okay, alright. So okay, saya akan hantar uh, um, biru ramai yang berkenan. Okay, biru ramai yang berkenan. Okay. Antara biru atau merah. Alright. Alright. So okay. Syazwan, okay, Nur Bazilah biru, Syazwan Naim on tak? On, warna biru, okay. Right, so mana lagi dia punya ni? Saya macam mana nak buka? Buka dia tak tahu. Alright, oh ini senarai kedatangan lah ni. Okay. Alright, so kita continue So the amount that you need is 252,000. Okay, 250,000. Alright. The key credit issues in short-term borrowings. Okay, self-liquidating. Okay, first is the issues is self-liquidating. And then financing of value added, general and also administrative costs. Repayment ability at the end of the net working capital facility. And then enough operating profit, whether it's enough or not to cover, okay, your costs, the short-term costs. And then a good operating cycle. So these are the key credit issues of short-term borrowings. Okay, risks involved in operating cycle. Okay, the supply risk, the production risk, the product risk, the demand risk, and the collection risk. So there are 5 risks here. First is the supply risk. Okay, basically if you your supply is consistent, then it will be okay. And then suddenly if the supply is, you don't have any supply, you're out of shortage, out of stocks. So, or maybe the supplier don't want to supply to you, so there will be a supply risk. The production risk probably, right? So basically, sometimes your production, you have to shut down your production because of the, we call it a malfunction of your machineries and so on. Okay, the we call it problem with employees and so on. And then the product risk, all right? The product risk, for example, the quality of the product does not meet its the quality standard, right? Or probably the product has some problems for safety and so on. And then the demand risk, okay? Probably people are shifting from one product to another product. They don't want to use your product anymore. For example, if you are using a technological product, sometimes technology product can be can become obsolete, right? Okay, because of what call it the change on demand, the shift in demand, and also the collection risk. Now, what if you supply to your debtors, to your customers, and then they run away, okay, from paying, right? Okay, can you give me about 1 minute? Okay. All right. And then let's look at the long-term borrowing. Now we have covered about the short-term borrowing. Long-term borrowing are meant effectively to finance the capital expenditure. For example, fixed assets acquired will be able to generate sufficient cash flow. So cash flow generated must be able to repay the cost of operating cycle and also cover the cost of investment of fixed asset. So basically, you need to buy your fixed asset that actually can generate money. Okay, you don't actually buy something. Okay, you buy a fixed asset, but that actually do not generate positive cash flow. right? So this is very important if you are looking at the operation of the company. If the company, for example, have so many land banks, this is, for example, a construction company or property company, there are so many land banks, but that land banks do not produce any single income, for example, rental and so on, because they're just sitting, laying down there. So basically, the fixed asset turnover is very, very low. So the fixed asset that they do have fixed asset, but the fixed asset do not produce or do not generate cash, right? So this is something that you need to dig, okay, on what would be the usage of that fixed asset, okay, because the fixed asset will be financed by long-term borrowing, but is the fixed asset actually produce income to the company or not, okay? If the fixed asset is just for the purpose of the use of directors, for example, then it's not actually what we call it, an income producing asset. All right, now let's look at the trade, okay, transaction process. We have the seller, we have the buyer, then they go into the trade, okay, then they have to agree on the contract term of sales. Firstly, they have to agree on the contract term of sales. Then the seller will deliver the merchandise to the buyer, right? Then the buyer will pay to the seller. This is a very simple trade transaction. The selling and the sales and purchase of what we call it products, okay, or merchandise between seller and buyer. But first, there must be a willing buyer and willing seller. Okay, in the Islamic fiqh of the arkan of sales and purchase, there are four. Okay, basically you have to have seller and buyer. Okay, you have to have the product that you are selling. You have to have the price. Okay, the price must be agreed upon, and you have to have the ijab and kabul. The ijab and kabul is here, the contract term of sales, and this is the product, and this is the payment, which is the price. So basically all of this, okay, you must have all of this. Then the what we call it, the arkan of sales and purchase is they are all available, they are all complete, right? So okay, rukun jual beli, okay. Now let's look at another method, which is using advance payment. Okay, using advance payment, basically the buyer remit payment through its banks to the seller. So basically this is the buyer. Okay, the buyer will actually remit payment first. Okay, one, pay to the bank. The bank of this is the buyer bank. Then the buyer bank send to the seller bank. The seller bank send to the seller. Okay, once you have the money, okay, paid in advance, then you will send the goods. Okay, this is number 2. Send the goods, okay, to the buyer. Then after receiving, okay, the goods, not yet received, after the good has been sent, for example, at the port, okay, the buyer, okay, the seller must also send the document so that the buyer can retrieve the goods from the port. Okay, so this is the document that is bill of lading, for example, that the buyer has to present to the immigration or to the warehouse, okay, for the goods to be collected from the warehouse. Okay, bill of lading, DO are sent directly to the buyer. Okay, all right. So this is what we call it, the buyer will pay first. But normally, buyer don't have money, right, to pay first the supplier. So what they can do is that they can actually go to the bank and see you, all right, and then require obtain facilities from the bank, for example, using letter of credit and bank guarantees and so on. Okay, this is the process whereby the buyer actually use the we call it letter of credit. Okay, at the first stage, okay, the first stage, the buyer will actually apply for a letter of credit from the issuing bank. This is the issuing bank that will actually issue the letter of credit. The issuing bank will actually send the letter of credit to the advising or confirming bank. Okay, so after the bank has actually received the letter of credit, then the bank will inform the seller or the beneficiary that okay, the letter of credit is actually complete and we have received it. Okay, the seller basically will ship the goods to the buyer, right? So it's either they ship the good first, and then or they will ship the good after they receive the letter of credit, because sometimes they want to make sure that the letter of credit is genuine, is actually in order, then only they will ship the good. But if the buyer and seller has been in good relationship before, okay, then they can just ship the good, but the good will not be released to the buyer until the seller has received the letter of credit confirmation. All right, so do you understand that? Okay, do you understand the letter of credit process? Okay, I'll just look at the hmm. Okay, do you understand? I'll give 1 minute for you to ask questions. Boleh untuk dalam dan juga luar. Domestik, LC dan okay, self liquidating tu maksudnya apabila dia dapatkan they get what we call it the loans, short term loans tu, the proceed from the sales, the sales of product actually can pay back the cost of loan. Okay, all right, to self liquidating. Explain apa ya? Explain apa soalan? Broadcast interrupted. Kenapa off tu? Han. Tu TV